Director of Disability Connections, John Hart. Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing,
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome back.
Hey, if I would have known that you're going to run that blues ad, I would have worn white socks.
Well, I know you're a music fan, so
yeah.
I'm sure if you get
That
time,
looks
you're going to
great.
head out there.
Yeah, I'll have to.
The organization has been, as I know, very busy, particularly during the pandemic, going above and beyond. But that's in addition to all the regular things you're doing. It's ramp season.
It is ramp season. Yeah, no, we're kind of, it's a really strange feeling because we didn't get out of the pandemic till a lot later than most people because 51% of our staff or more have to have a disability and 51% of our board. So we took it real serious. We took all the stuff really serious, COVID and all the long COVID things. So we're just actually reopening all the way to the public in the last month and a half. Opened all of our days because we were challenged by having limited staff and having a lot of tasks to do. So it was really strange when we dropped masks and you're walking around and we're in our regular things now. So yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have made it except for my fantastic staff. So, but now we're back open. Spring and summertime and then into the fall is our ramp season. So we partner with Rotary, the Rotary Clubs of Jackson, the Noon Club and the Breakfast Club. And they volunteer. We have a bunch of volunteers that come out, and it's also funded partially by Rotary, and that's a needs-based program, provides ramps to people all throughout Jackson.
And you could use, I know, more because you cannot make enough ramps for everyone that needs them.
That's exactly right. So, I would just say here, if you're a builder and you like to do that kind of activity, especially if you have experience, we can use people on site. And we have a person that, leads the program, Joe Natter, who's a retiree / rehiree from Eaton Air Equip. He does all of the ramp drawings and things, but we could always use more people. So if you'd like to do that, but we also have this Ramp It Up program, and that's for people that don't, need a ramp or don't foresee the ramp in the period of time that we're active and might need a ramp. And that campaign, basically $100 a foot is what it takes to build a ramp, and we'd like to give that to help people that are in need that need that when we can't help build them for them.
Yeah, so the money is really the important part that fuels the ability for the ramps to be built. And you have to have the certain slope. I mean, you can't just slap one up.
Well, you shouldn't. I mean, I've seen it, and I understand the idea of why somebody might do that.
Yeah.
But we're all ADA, use all the ADA rules, and follow all the building, ordinances, and that's really to make sure that people are the safest that they can be, and that people are putting things up to standard. So it's not just for the individual building it, but if like a landlord or a building owner builds that people with disabilities don't get surprised by like a really deep slope, or there's not all that strain and stress of when you need to turn, and basically it's 12-foot run for 1 foot of height. So if a step's 1 foot high, it needs 12 feet out to make it so you're not just like bombing it, so it's important, and we've seen the difference in our ramp program. We'll see someone that's got one of those, like it's in back and it's just kind of an emergent thing, versus getting that ramp and just the increase of safety and quality for what the person's able to access the community. A lot of people get trapped in their homes, and or it's really dangerous. And we know a lot of people that are using, accessibility equipment and wheelchairs. They have their family helping them out, and so it puts a bigger strain on the family too. So there's a bunch of layers to not being able to get out into the community safely.
Yeah, you can't even just go out and sit in the yard on a nice summer day.
Yep, I remember we built one, and we were over on Prospect Street, built it. The lady had not been safely out of her house in months, came right out, and you could just see the difference in her demeanor and in her caretaker's demeanor, which was her daughter. Just changed their life.
All right, so sign up, send in the contribution, scan the QR code.
Yep, you can just go to www.disabilityconnect.org and go to the donate page, and there's a new campaign there. And every cent that gets raised goes to making a new ramp for someone.
Nice. We've also got an event coming up called the Inclusion Event.
Yeah, yes. And I know that's a loaded word, and some people that's a political word, but inclusion is what we've always been about. And inclusion means that all of society can allow for the needs and lifestyles of everyone. And so that's always been a focus of Disability Connections, which is to make sure that people with disabilities can access and be included in the community to the best of possibility. And that always sounds like a problem for the person who has the disability, but if you look around, usually there are social barriers, societal barriers that can be changed, right? People make society, and people can change society. So what we really want to talk about is how can we make all of our public spaces, all of our private spaces, the most inclusive and accessible for all people. And that means people of all colors, all races, all sexes, everyone, all those intersectionalities that we have as people. Disability is one of those. So we want to make sure that that space is open for all people.
So it's not about steps and doorways and bathrooms.
Those are just the physical symbols of understanding that people have all different shapes, forms, sizes, and abilities. And so those are just outward symbols of society understanding that. So it's really the spirit of being inclusive with folks.
So you have a speaker coming in?
Yeah, we have Dr. O from U of M. We're in just finalizing the dates and finalizing the spaces, and it'll be in either late October or early November. And Dr. O heads up the accessible sports community over at U of M. And he was on Good Morning America maybe 6 months ago. They got $1 million grant, and his goal is to have as many people included in sports. And so we're going to have him come and talk about accessible sports, but then we're going to give people a chance to participate. So if you are a person that's able, they'll show you how you can, basically participate in the sport with people that have different abilities. So like wheelchair rugby, wheelchair basketball, and then Dr. O was telling us a bunch of stuff. I have no idea what they even are, and I won't even know what they are until he gets there and shows them to us. But that's the idea of just changing a few rules can make it so everybody can play.
All right, well, when that date and all the details get finalized, we'll share all that information with you here on JTV.
Awesome.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Great to be here.
Executive Director of Disability Connections, John Hart. Oh, it